over there. That's my cat. Isn't he cute? Alright, so this is a video kind of documenting the piece size calculator algorithm that I made a little bit ago, because I know it's not accessible for everyone, so I wanted to kind of document it here, just so it has a place to live if you can't run the code or whatever. So basically the premise behind it was I was curious, what is the set of pieces that you could possibly get where the pieces are the farthest from each other? You know, like not caring about like how long they take or whatever, but just caring about like in 3D space, how far away are they from each other? You can think of it like that. So if you're kind of familiar with how like the sheets work and stuff though, you might know that this kind of already exists in the form of this. This was a sheet made by En Passant. They have one of these for every single level. This is just Wild Canyon. And it kind of already does that. Like, look at this. So, like, this is the cross product between this piece, 3, and then these two first and second pieces. However, I did my own digging, and it didn't seem quite right. So, like, for example, let's do it here. If we just get like the maximum value, let's do this. Oh great, there's a lot of them. Down to here. If I do this, then I have to go all the way back up. Okay, so this is the biggest set according to this. 833,000 for the cross product. If we find exactly what that is, it's this guy. So third piece is on a red circle, and the first are set and second are parakeet on the left shoulder, checks out, swirling container. That also kind of makes sense because it is a pretty remote piece, but on a red circle seems like a weird option for a third piece, don't you think? Like, I would have thought it would be something like really far on the head side, like you know what I mean? Like red circle just kind of like seems in the middle between these two pieces. So I'm like, what's going on here? I don't know exactly why it's not quite right, but I think it's because it doesn't deal with the positive and negative parity of the coordinates, like of the original coordinates. That's just a guess though, I'm not exactly sure. But essentially this is not quite accurate, so I decided to make my own that is accurate. So let's take a look. So here we go. So this is the algorithm for it. I will just start off by saying that I had made this I made this with time in mind, basically. So I didn't write all of this code. I'd say maybe like a quarter of it was generated by AI. Maybe a little more. Pretty much all of these helpers were like I can do the math, but I didn't feel like doing it. Actually, that's kind of a lot of code. Maybe closer to half, whatever. But the main stuff was mostly written by me. Like this was all boilerplate. I didn't write this, but I did write all of this, some of that. And yeah, and this is the main kind of juice of the algorithm. This is exactly how it works. If you want to look at this, I'll link my GitHub repo in the description so you can check it out for yourself. But yeah, so that's that out of the way. But yeah, so basically the way it works is, actually, what the hell, let's just generate one. All right, so we're just gonna generate one with, I feel like if I do this, it won't quite work. Yeah, so I'm required to actually specify a stage. So let's do that. Let's do this command again, and let's do Wild Canyon. And this will generate all of our sets for us in this wildcanyon.txt file here. Let's just expand this out. So basically, I was going to do like a real review, like, what do you think is the biggest set? Well, that's busted, but yes, so this is the biggest set we can get here. And by biggest, what I mean is if you draw a triangle around the pieces, it's the side lengths of the triangle. So I feel like that's a bit more kind of what you'd expect when you're thinking about how big a set is. Like you're not doing the math in your head, you're just going from piece to piece. Right, so what do we have? So we do have a parakeet on the left shoulder, but then we do have a really far piece on the head side, the farthest piece on the head side for the second piece, Sandy Paths Stone Statue Head, and then Beginning Room as our most remote third piece. And that is our biggest set. That is a total distance of that many units. And then, but not only that, not only can we find the biggest set, we can also find the smallest set. So now I can maybe, if you want to pause and try to figure out what that is, okay, time's up. So we're going to go see what it is. And, oh crap, I forgot this. There's a lot of lines here. So this is what it is here. So you can see they're all like exactly in the same area, all on that really dense part of the head side. Okay, so that's cool. But if we're looking at these, like a lot of these sets are pretty obviously not possible. Like you can't, like you absolutely can't spawn all these pieces together, unless you know you're using death abuse or whatever, and you know spawning one each one individually in reverse order. So then I was wondering, what are the smallest sets that you can spawn, like that you can possibly spawn, regardless of if it's first load or not? And yeah, so I decided to implement that by using an additional argument here. So we have Wild Canyon as our argument, and let's add I equals 0. So no impossible sets, essentially, is what that means. So an impossible set is just any set that can't generate because it's too small. Or actually, no, let me be more specific. It can't spawn because of the way the pieces are generated. So, you know, for example, the second piece can't be in the 50% of pieces closest to that first piece. It considers that and then goes from there. And then same thing with the third piece. So if we run this, we can see what the actual pieces that we can get, smallest sets that we can get are. So once again, it is kind of on the head side because it is a dense area with a lot of pieces. Makes sense. And this is what we got. Please point out by 2 priests, 4 rolling eyes. 4 swirling eyes. This is the second piece. Of course it is. It's the only one with that hint. And then over the tilted pillar. Okay, so, you know, checks out. Like, I can theoretically spawn, but the pieces are quite close together. You know, it is a little bit interesting that these 2 pieces spawn together. That's not very common. But it can theoretically spawn. And if you are interested in kind of fact-checking this second set is actually in 1024. This is a set that you can get in 1024. It's not the best set ever, but, you know, you can get it. And, of course, the top is going to be all exactly the same because all these pieces are plenty far enough from each other. So, yeah, that is that. Looking at my notes here. Yeah, so then kind of like my next thought from here is that when you're doing a regular playthrough of a stage, let's say we don't get any free pieces. Like if we got this set, for example, obviously like we'd get this piece first because we see it. But in a lot of runs, especially of the later stages where you have to dig and stuff like that, or they're just obscured, we're not going to get these pieces. So it wouldn't really make sense to consider the distance from the first piece to the third piece, since we're never going to be traveling that distance in a run, right? So let's eliminate them. So let's go back to our command. We're going to keep I equals 0. We're also going to add C equals 0, and C is for connecting first and third piece. Okay, so we're going to run this, and we get this. So what this is saying is if we go to the first piece, or if we start at the first piece, go to the second piece, go to the third piece, what is the biggest distance we got? And in this case, it's this. So same first piece. This is an incredibly remote first piece. Same second piece, very remote there. So then it's saying on the lap of a wall painting is a little bit farther than beginning room from this piece. Fair enough? And if we go a little bit down here, we can see that this is the set that was the top right before. Okay, pretty cool. But now you're probably considering, like maybe this isn't the best example for it, but if we're just starting at this piece 1, theoretically it could be really close to spawn. And, like, what if this was, I don't know, a bird box piece 1? Obviously, this would not be a bad set. Like, that first piece, you'd get it right away. Obviously not in this case, but you know. So let's change that, and let's consider spawn. S equals 1. So what this will do is it'll add on the distance from spawn to the first piece. Specifically the first piece, even if we change this to 1, okay? So if we do this, obviously it stays mostly the same, but then it shuffles down a little bit here as we get rid of some of those closer pieces. And then additionally, if we wanted to go back to this guy down here, like this still isn't the greatest of sets because this isn't the closest first piece we can get. So what we can do instead is we can run something like, well, we can just run this again, and we would see that, yeah, closer piece there, yeah, this is a freaking good set, you know what I mean? Can it spawn in 1024? I don't know, but it can theoretically spawn eventually, and it's a good one. What we can also do is that, let's say we are considering maybe we get a free piece, okay? And like, see, like this is a free piece here. And we can consider the distance from that piece 3 to perhaps a piece 1. So we're going, so, you know, we're getting that piece 3 before, getting it early. All right. So if we do that, then it would be this. And yep. Okay, I mean, this also isn't the greatest example of it because this is not a free piece, but, you know, same thing with this one and this one. But this one's a bit different. That's actually the one we got earlier. So, yeah, good to know. All right, but there's something kind of interesting about all of these examples. If we search up the IL set, which is going to be double, let's see, so it's going to be what, this guy plus, what was it, a bird box. I should have copied this beforehand. And then a storm zone. Did I mess something up here? Oh, I'm stupid. Yeah, okay, there we go. I just forgot what it was. So this is our set here. And on the right side, you can kind of see, is it visible? I don't know if this is visible on OBS, not really. Yeah, it is. So if I have this line selected, we can see like where exactly in, oh, you can't see the scroll bar. Yeah, let me fix that. Boop, there we go. So now you can see like where the scroll bar is, and it's kind of right in the middle. I assume my cursor is visible. I'm very sorry if it's not. It's like right in the middle of this text file, which means it's not that bad, but not that good, according to this algorithm. But we know this set's very good. So like, what's going on here? Why, like, this is perhaps the best possible combination of variables that we could get, or we could ask for to get this piece to be low. What's going on? Well, first of all, it's considering the spawn to the piece 1 position. I hard-coded that, and obviously this first piece is definitely the farthest of the 3. Fair enough. But then alongside that, because we're doing c equals 1 here, that means it's also taking the distance from this piece to this piece, which is also quite large. And actually, what am I trying to say? That is a distance you cover. But like, for example, this distance is not a distance you cover, right? You don't go straight from one of these to the other. You get this in the order of this, then this, then this. So how do we reflect that? Well, we just make the algorithm do exactly what I said. Let's say we start and spawn, we take the piece that's closest to the player right away. That's this guy. Then from there, we take the piece that is the next farthest, which is this guy. And then we take the piece that is, actually I should specify, the second piece is the farthest, or the next, or it's the next closest to this first piece that we got. Okay? So we get this next, and then it would get the last piece after that, and then it would combine the distances of all that. That's reflected in the algorithm by doing G for greedy, because this is a greedy algorithm, equals 1. And it's also worth noting that I believe greedy only works if you have C equal to 1, because otherwise, like, why would it consider that distance from piece 1 to piece 3? It doesn't really matter, but whatever. So if we do this now, where's our set now? Did I not copy it? Oh, I'm stupid, dude. And then in a storm zone. So this is our line now, and look where it is. Very close to the bottom. You might be surprised to see that it's not at the bottom. Where'd it go? Uh-oh, I lost it. No! You can see that it was close to the bottom, which is what we should expect. Now, it's not at the bottom. If we look at some of these other sets, for example, we get these. So, by a wind jump board, a bird box, arrow pointing to the right. Makes sense. Like, obviously, you can't go through a ceiling, but if you could, that's your set. And there was one of these that I saw that was actually, like, really freaking good. that does exist, and I believe it actually has a name. Where is it? Um, is it this guy? No, or is it this guy? I forgot which one it was. No, I think it's called the Dark Pro set. It's one of these that it's like near the 6 pillars, and then it has like beginning room, and I think it's somewhere here. I forgot which one it was though. Did I write it down? No, I didn't. All right, but yeah, so that's all of the arguments, and that's how kind of how the algorithm works. So now let's just play around and see what the other stages look like. So let's go to Pumpkin Hill next. So this time I'll actually let you take your guess at what you think the one for Pumpkin Hill will be. You might be able to kind of have some thoughts about like what pieces are good, what pieces are bad, and use that. But yeah, give it some thought. Take a pause. Okay, time's up. Let's see what we got. So, not a whole ton of surprises here. This is the most remote second piece in the stage. Obviously, this is the most remote third piece and piece in the stage. And then you can probably guess the first piece is going to be something on Church Mountain. As you can see, there are plenty of options here, but this one is the farthest. No, makes sense, what you'd kind of expect, but yeah, pretty interesting. And what I think is even more interesting, though, is because let's get rid of impossibles, and also let's take off the connection between piece 1 and piece 3, because at this point, you're not going to get many free pieces, especially the remote ones are not free. So let's try that. And oops, wait, I said actually, yeah, wait. Before we do this, I want to take your guess at what this new set will be. It is different. It's not this one right now. Take your guess at what it is. All right, time's up. So you might be thinking it's another one on Church Mountain, but it's actually not. It's double containers on Ghost Train, which might sound really weird. Like, why would a Ghost Train piece be in a triangle of one of the biggest sets in the stage, or the biggest set in the stage? But if you actually go in to the game and look at it, this piece is farther from the far side-eyed pumpkin than anything else. And again, we have King of the Hill, of course, because these pieces are freaking far from each other. And speaking of these two pieces, they show up a lot on here. If we look at King of the Hill, and I can do, I believe I can do Control Shift L and then Control L, you can see just how many entries King of the Hill is contained in within these top sets. It fizzles out a little bit down here, but we can see on the sidebar that, you know, there are a lot of them, especially like down here for some reason. But yeah, a lot at the top. The crazier one, though, is Sad-Eyed Pumpkin. You can see it's everything here so far just by what's highlighted. But if I do the same thing, look how many of them contain this piece at the top. So many. And look at the sidebar, too. You can just see this piece dominates it. It has every single set up until here. Until here. And this piece is, like, right next door. So, yeah, this really kind of just, like, showed me just how freaking bad this second Sad-Eyed Pumpkin piece is, because it's really hard to get to, and it's really hard to leave, is what essentially what this algorithm means. Crazy stuff. What else we got here? Oh yeah, so let's talk about it. So the Sad-Eyed Pumpkin and King of the Hill combination seems pretty scary. However, there are only what am I thinking? Yeah, there are only 2 possible first pieces that can have this combo, and both of them are pretty good. Well, relatively good compared to the others. One of them is Twin Huts here. That's on Ghost Train. That's pretty good. And then the other one is where is it? This one. So these 2. So they're not the very top ones, but still, or yeah, they're not the very top ones. That's good. That's good. They're not super low either, but you know, They're both on Ghost Train Mountain, which is better than, something like Dirge Mountain, which would suck ass. But yeah, I guess something else we can try is turning on, or like seeing what I guess we can just check these other ones out. So if we connect those and we also consider spawn, these are the farthest sets. But if we consider like what are the best sets in this case, Tombstone Guard by 4 Skulls, Under the Tracks, a Pumpkin with a Creepy Smile. Does that set sound familiar to you? That's the IL set with Rising Start. Yeah, for real. That is the IL set. And it's even crazier because it's out of 1024. So it's wild that this algorithm lines up perfectly with the IL. I think that's pretty freaking cool. Like, obviously you need glitches to do it, but that's pretty sick. But interestingly, if we also consider Greedy, that set is not number 1 anymore, which I was surprised by because I thought if anything it would be the Greedy set that considers it. But nope. Instead it's this one, which also has Creepy Smile, but it also has these pieces which aren't that much, or that aren't that good because they're not in the way. Whatever. I think it's the IL set's still like nearby though. Yeah, it's up here. Okay, so it's still not bad. Like, it's still one of the 10 out of 9,200 best sets you can get. Okay, so I think that's pretty much it for Pumpkin Hill. Let's take a look at Aquatic Mine. So actually finding the biggest set here is pretty interesting to me. Like, there's a lot of things you can consider. Like, so obviously we might have something down in the underwater or stair-shaped brick room area. Like, we got it. It's so remote, right? Or do we? Because think about it. Like, there are so many other spots. Like, there's the top area. That's pretty remote. Or there's, like, the mine shaft area, I don't know what it's called, that has, like, Path of the Abyss, or, like, the Triangle Skull. That's pretty far away, too. Or the Ghost Room is pretty far as well. Like, there's a lot of these different, like, wings that you can have. So what would it be? And also, if it is in that one underwater area, would it be the piece 3 that's like stair-shaped brick room? That's by far the farthest in the stage, you'd think. But it could also be the piece 1, which is down below, right? Like, that one's pretty freaking far too. So just depending on what other piece 1s and piece 3s could exist throughout the stage, like, some of them might be, better. I don't know. You kind of get what I'm saying? I hope so. I don't really know how to explain it right now. Or could it be the piece 2 down there? It's a little bit closer, but maybe all the other, like, piece 2s are pretty close too. All right, so take your guess. All right, time's up. This is what we got. So as it turns out, it is stair-shaped brick room, not down below for this one. My cats are fighting. Chill out, guys. But then, yeah, so the most remote first piece in the stage is 3 metal barrows, according to this, followed by In the Triangle Skull and Stair-Shaped Brick Room. Cool. So then we can also try this without considering the connection between the piece 1 and the piece 3. Then we get Ghost Room again, Triangle Skull. Actually, these results are basically the same. So it kind of makes sense that we're switching this out for 3 metal barrels because these 2 pieces are a little bit farther than the other combination, but the other one I assume is pretty close by. Yeah, it's right here. Actually, it's here. What I think is pretty interesting, though, is if we consider spawn, because this piece is pretty far from spawn, but there's one piece 1 that's quite a bit farther, and you can probably guess which one it is. Down below, dominates the list, as you can expect. And when you have this as the first piece, Moonbox Steel Beam makes sense. And then I was actually kind of surprised that Path of the Abyss was a little bit farther in this set. I thought it would be bigger on the Triangle Skull. The reason being is that technically this piece is a little bit farther than down below. However, it's a little bit farther. However, it is closer to this. So actually, if we turned this connection back on, I'm willing to bet this set will be number 1 now. Called it. Yep. So yeah. Pretty cool there. I think Aquatic Mine's kind of fascinating for this challenge, or not challenge, game. Alright, Death Chamber. Death Chamber isn't super interesting, I'd say. Not as much as the other 3, just because it's all kind of on a flat plane. You might be able to guess what the set is. Like, even if you don't get the set exactly right, you pretty much know exactly where they are if you've ever seen an overhead map of the stage. So if we do it, yep. So I was kind of surprised that it was white dot indicates blue instead of the one in the boxes. Was it red eyes? Between the red eye, in the middle of red eyes, that's it. I was kind of surprised to see it was this one, but I guess technically it is a little bit more shoved in the corner, even though perhaps in the middle of red eyes is a little bit farther. You know what I mean? But yeah, so then this super remote piece too. It's already remote enough in the game, and it's even more remote in the map. And then connect the dots, of course. I was a little bit surprised that it was connect the dots and not Gorilla's Chase, but no, you can probably figure that out looking at a map. The other ones aren't super interesting. I'm trying to think maybe if we don't consider, or if we, yeah, let's turn C off and S on. This isn't really something you would see in game, because like if we look at this, like if you get white dot indicates blue, you would not go straight to Ghost Protects the Goddess. I mean, it's not the worst thing ever, but you would just die and take the red piece too that you'd probably get. But if we consider spawn and don't consider that connection, so basically if we're not dying doing this, then we would get, so now this is interesting, the first piece is green now. I think that's pretty cool, I guess, because yeah, maybe green room is just more remote than blue room. It is really far from this piece, I'll tell you that. And then yep, so then going back, so actually I don't know if this is a set that's possible. Hold on, we didn't turn impossibles off, because yeah, that's the thing, this piece and this piece are pretty close together. So let's turn impossible off, and we'll probably do something else now. Yeah, that's straight up gone. Okay, so we are back to this exact same set. And, oh, wait a minute. Is this actually... Really? Wait, deadass? Is this the same set, or am I tripping? No, this is slightly different. It's Gorilla's Chase instead of Connect the Dots. Okay. So yeah, that's that. Let's keep going. Let's check out Meteor Herd. So Meteor Herd, I thought was going to be pretty interesting, and... maybe this first part is not super interesting. Try to guess what the biggest distances between, or yeah, the biggest possible triangle between the sets is. You can probably guess what one of those pieces is going to be, and I'm sure without too much thought you can guess what the other 2 are as well. A lot of floating stone. A lot of floating stone. And then, yep, one piece on the ground, and another piece pretty much on the opposite side of the ground. I think, like, exactly on the opposite side, pretty much. Yeah. So, yeah. You probably could have guessed that. I don't know if I guessed that because I'm stupid, but... but, yeah. I need water. I'm thirsty. I don't have water. No! Alright, anyway. So, what I want to do next is... actually, before we generate a new one, this is actually really interesting, because if we go to the bottom... so we are considering sets that aren't possible, that are too close to each other. Try to guess, I don't want to spoil it, we're going back up. Try to guess what the smallest possible set is, considering impossible sets. Just take a guess. You probably pretty quickly came to the realization that it's these sets. They're all in the exact same spot. There are tons of pieces here. As you can see, it's completely dominated by that region. But what's interesting is that this distance between these sets is the smallest possible. Or not the smallest possible, the smallest in every stage, including the Rouge one. So if we go back to like Wild Canyon is a small stage. But even then, like the smallest set is a little bit bigger. And if we look exactly at what these pieces are, yep, they're all in the same spot. Okay, but yeah, so that was cool. Oh, I need water. Let's go back to meteor herd. Oh my god. Meteor herd, we'll turn impossible sets off now. We'll turn this connection off, and we'll consider spawn. This I found to be pretty interesting to think about. Because floating stone above a moon is by far the farthest from spawn, and it's also the most remote piece in the stage. But that said, it is a second piece, which means no matter what first piece we get, even if it's like on the far back side of the stage, it's not like you're going up all the way up first and then back down and then back up. You're not doing 3 trips. You're more just doing 2. And that's specifically because it's a second piece. So it made me consider, is it really going to be in this set? Could it be something like, I don't know, Guns Machine? You have to go all the way back down for first stage, down's pretty far, then all the way back up for spinner containers. Let's say that. So which one would it be? I'll let you think about it. Time is up. Let's see what it is. We're at the bottom. Let's go up. We do still get floating stone above a moon in the biggest set. But it's not very dominant. Like this set, okay, this isn't quite what I said because this third piece is different. But, oh, excuse me. Floating stone is still in all of the biggest sets. Pretty interesting, you know? I didn't expect that. I did not expect that at all. So I hope you didn't either, so you find it interesting. If you did predict it, good for you. Good for you. Let me know how smart you are in the comments. All right, so that's enough of Meteor Herd, I think. I don't think anything else is super... Actually, wait, no. There is something interesting. What do you think the smallest set would be if we do the greedy algorithm? Actually, no. Let's not even consider the greedy algorithm. What the hell? Let's just consider this. What do you think it would be? Actually, no. Let's turn spawn off. Actually, let's turn that off as well. What do you think the pieces are in that set? Now, my thought it would be just something like up in the middle area that's like probably a shitty set, or something maybe on the lower area that, you know, pieces are kind of close together. Actually, front of the shortcut rocket dominated. I did not expect this at all. In Pumpkin Hill, I was not able to get the IL set like in a Centurion, what you're doing. I was not able to get that IL set to generate at all, like the one with the cold iron bars, and then you have to take the rocket up to Pumpkin Hill. In general, this algorithm doesn't really understand rockets, of course. And it doesn't understand rockets, so I was thinking that there's no way it's going to consider this piece as being close to anything. Sure enough, it is, and all of these are good sets outside of the Container Doesn't Float. All great sets, which surprised the hell out of me. And believe it or not, actually, we're not even considering things like spawn location, and we're still considering the connection between the first and third piece. This second to last set, the second to smallest set you can get, is in 24, and now, or in 1024. And not only is it in 1024, it's one of the best sets you can get. This first piece combination is outstanding, because if it's not, where is it? Where's 3 tanks? This guy. If it's not this one, it's this one, and it's in the same spot. Great set. Great set. So yeah, might be a little surprised that the one with floating in front of 3 tanks is higher up on here. But I mean, it kind of makes sense because, you know, floating in front of 3 tanks is technically a little bit farther from Shortcut Rocket than this middle dig while watching the moon is. Kind of checks out, you know? Alright, so that's all the Knuckles stages. So let's go on to Rouge now. I don't have any more scripts, so we're just going to wing it from here. It should be pretty straightforward. Honestly, all of these Rouge stages are kind of straightforward. So let's do Dry Lagoon. You can take a guess at what you think the farthest pieces are. You might be able to get pretty close already if you're familiar enough with the stage. So the farthest one is Guns Storage Area, Blue and White V under Gin. Like maybe you didn't guess these exact pieces, or maybe like for each piece you didn't guess the right location. Like my first thought was maybe like Blue and White V first piece, and then like something in the gun storage area for the second piece, and then something like, I don't know, under a chin for the third. But nope, it's this case, which is pretty much the same thing. But then, yeah, we can see like variations on this too. Like this was kind of what I was thinking along this line. I wonder if there's one with a first piece on the head side. Don't see one. But yeah, so that's pretty much it for that. In terms of the other things, it's kind of difficult because well, for one, it's kind of interesting because you always need to have at least one piece in the big oasis, which makes a lot of sets kind of big and also a little bit unpredictable. But also because technically the middle area of the stage is the jail, which is the worst possible spot you can get. So the worst possible spot is in the middle. If we remove impossible sets here, we could probably see that. Like, there's probably going to be a lot of jail sets that would be like, oh, this is a great set. Yeah, like this guy, like that's a shitty piece. Yeah, on tilted pillar here, fish food, like it's like, oh, these pieces are great. No, they're not. And also, if we consider let's just do like a degree algorithm. So C equals 1, S equals 1, G equals 1. If we do that, we can see that these sets kind of don't make sense. So yeah, protector of the pawn straight to blue box is what it's predicting. So it's saying like this first, which does it make sense to get first? I don't think so. I think you'd want to get this first, then this, and then I mean theoretically you could box clip and get this, but it's still not a very good set. So like it just can't really understand those nuances. This is a decent set though. That's pretty much it for Dry Lagoon. Let's keep going. Egg quarters. So for creating the big triangle here, I was thinking that it would probably be something like under the hieroglyphics first piece. I believe that's what it's called. I think you know the one I'm talking about, the one on the green room by the machine's path. I thought it would be that, but it's actually not. It's in the shadow of a scurrying bug, which, when you think about it, does make sense because, what am I thinking? Like it is farther if you look at like an overhead view of egg quarters. As for the other ones, like sort of things like the greedy algorithm or like the smallest possible set, like if we take a look at that, come on, equals 0, then we go to the bottom. Like there are going to be a lot of either jumping straight from the blue room to the altar room, which you can't do, or there's going to be a lot of pieces in the upgrade room, which is not fast, and this doesn't realize that. So if you're looking at it from a speedrun perspective, they suck. So like in this actually, no, this has just one of those cases. That's actually, yeah, there are a lot of upgrade room. All of these are upgrade room. This is the first one that's not, it looks like. And this is a decent set. Actually, that's a really good set. I wonder if that's in 1024. There's one good set that's in 1024. I forgot what it is. I don't think it's this. But I think it is these first two pieces. I might have to fact check that. But yeah, if we do greedy as well, you can see down here. Again, it wants us to go straight to the upgrade room, which is weird. Those two pieces are good though. If we go down here, like if that's a good set, that's actually good. Yeah, overall, I mean, these sets are better, it looks like. Okay, let's check out Security Hall next. Oops, I did not mean to do that. Okay, well, I ran the code. It's open in a different tab. How do you guess what you think the biggest set is? Da-da-da-da-da. And this is what it is. So, you probably could have guessed this piece if you paused to think. I would not have guessed this, though. These are both low, but I was thinking, maybe there would be one in some random corner, like, hiding up there, but not in this case. And yeah, it doesn't look like there are any of those around here. Overall, though, the results in Security Hall aren't that interesting either. Like, if we go down and, look at, what some of the best sets are, let's just, excuse me. Like if we just go straight to greedy. Actually, let's not do greedy yet. Let's do this. Like, it's gonna give me sets that it thinks are great. However, a lot of those sets are either contain high pieces or safe pieces in particular. So if we check that out here, yeah, like this wants us to go straight to the top. That's a safe piece that would not be opened. That is too, I think. Like that's a safe piece. This is a good. That's a really good set. Damn. That's possible? I didn't actually. That's crazy. Wow. Wait, no. That's not possible. Yeah, I was like, what the? These are crazy. Okay, yeah, this is better. This is better. And yeah, like, you can get that. You can get that. Okay, actually, these aren't too bad. Yeah, actually, a lot of these are yellow safe pieces, too. Okay, well, you can look at that. You'll see there are still some safe pieces. I don't see many. This is a safe piece. I don't see many. All right, well, let's go on then to Mad Space. Mad Space is perhaps maybe the most interesting Rouge stage. I'd really recommend going and looking at this one yourself. Take a guess at what you think the biggest one is. It's going to be kind of similar to Meteor Herd. I thought that, what is the Super Remote one? Blue Light Balcony third piece would be on here. If we take a look at that, like it would be like occupy a lot of the top spots. It's actually not. It's a bottom piece, which checks out too. But I thought that was kind of surprising. Like, here's Blue Light Balcony here. And, it occurs a little bit. But yeah, it's mainly the top pieces, specifically this guy. Bunch of black containers at the base. That dominates. Interesting. And then, I don't think there are any super interesting ones that I found just around. We could take a look at this one. So like this is like if you were doing an actual playthrough, what would you get? And knowing what you know from Meteor Herd, you can probably guess what's going to happen here. Oh, actually, this one's different. No. Okay, so it doesn't actually want you to start by getting a bottom piece. Or, I say it doesn't want you to. I mean, the biggest set would not contain a bottom piece in this case. You would actually go to the top, then the bottom, and then the top again. Interesting. Are there any on here where that's not the case? I don't think so. There is only one bottom piece anyway, or one bottom first piece anyway, and I don't see it. Okay. Oh, no, it's not it. Yeah, I don't know where it is. Okay, and I guess just for one more thing, let's check out the greedy for Mad Space and what the best set is. So obviously this piece is going to dominate, and oh my god, does it dominate. Does it actually dominate by as much as Sad-Eyed Pumpkin in Pumpkin Hill, which I was surprised by. If we look at this, like, it doesn't get all of these. If we look at the graph, or I don't even know what this is called, the mini viewer thing, not many. Kind of surprising. But yeah, as expected, it does get quite a lot. And if we look at it, Lonely House, Too Close to the Forest, and Dangerous Moon, yeah. Kinda maybe what you'd expect. And I wonder if any of these are possible in 1024. I didn't actually look at that. There is like one aisle set. I mean, at this point, you've been here for 45 minutes. Let's actually try and find this. Let's see. It's what is it? It's Too Close to the Forest. Then the first piece is what is the first piece? It's Green in a Bowl. So okay, there it is. blue light balcony, and then the last one is going to be it's the one between, I don't know what it's I forgot what it's called. Dangerous moon, dangerous star, 3-color container. Okay, so here it is. This is the IL set, and as you can see, it's pretty freaking close to the bottom. Wow, really close. But okay, yep, that was pretty much it. I know I missed some things. I guess, actually, let's try this. If we do ms I equals 0, p, or no, let's just do p equals 1. This will give us how far each piece is from each other piece. And it doesn't compare that between like piece 1s. It would be piece 1 to piece 2, piece 2 to piece 3, piece 1 to piece 3. And so the farthest two pieces in mad space from each other, blue light balcony and huge paperweight, as you'd expect. And then if we turn on s equals 1, we can see how far each one is from spawn. So this is where I expect blue light balcony to dominate, and hell yeah it does. Not by a ton. Or actually, no. The piece 3 is not actually the top one. The other blue light balcony is actually farther from spawn, which I did not expect. That's pretty cool. But okay. That's pretty much all I got. I hope you're able to learn something. I'll try and compile some of this information in, say, like a Google Sheets document or something. If I do that, then I will link it in the description. As again, the GitHub repo is in the description as well. Go check that out if you're curious. But yeah, hopefully this was interesting and insightful to you. All right. Peace.